Okay, everybody, this is Emar Soper 2. Welcome to another edition of the Technical State of Georgia Athletics. We're going to preview tomorrow's contest between Georgia State and Arkansas State on the gridiron. We are recording this on November 19th, 2021. Hope all is well out there for you. As always, to follow everything that we do, head to the mothership, to sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. Now, I know this is football focused, but I do have to highlight some Georgia State content that we have on the site right now. For example, we have the interview that we were able to get with Misha Griffin from the Georgia State volleyball team following their first round win over Arkansas State in the Sun Belt tournament. They are playing as we speak right now in their matchup against South Alabama, but you can go back to our site and see that interview. You can also go to our site and follow the Georgia State men's soccer team. We were able to speak with Brett Surrency before their matchup against Charlotte, which they won last night in the first round of the NCAA tournament. By the time you listen to this, hopefully we'll have another interview with Brett Surrency and maybe a player before their matchup against Georgetown in the second round of the NCAA tournament on November 21st. And then also, you can go to our social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Sports Inquirer. You do a search on there, and you'll be able to see everything that we have going on. And then finally, head to our audio and video host, such as YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Anchor is also. Just go under the Sports Inquirer, do a search for us, and you will be able to keep track of everything that we have going on. Yeah, so Georgia State prepares to host Arkansas State on November 20th. Georgia State is coming off its first ever win over a ranked opponent, and they have two more regular season contests at home, beginning with their matchup against Arkansas State. So Georgia State was able to win last week's contest 42 to 40 at nationally ranked Coastal Carolina to improve its record to 5-5 overall and 4-2 in the Sun Belt Conference. So the Panthers have now won 5 of their last 6 contests after a slow start to the season. Arkansas State is coached by former Tennessee head coach Butch Jones, and they picked up their first conference victory last Saturday over Louisiana Monroe. The Wolves record coming in Red Wolves, gotta get it right. The Red Wolves record coming into this contest is 2-8 overall and 1-5 in the Sun Belt Conference. Here is Georgia State head coach Shawn Elliott on facing Arkansas State.
But it's a you got to turn and you got to go and get ready for an Arkansas State bunch to come in here. We've been watching them. They just got their first win over an FBS school against ULM this past weekend, and they're going to come in here ready to play. And I'm not one that thinks anything's easy. We're going to have to go out here and we're going to have to prepare, and we're going to have to really know exactly that we've got to play the hardest and longest for 60 minutes to get a win this weekend. They will be ready to play. They're going to be well coached. I reminded our team a little bit of last year's game. They had 609 yards of total offense. They threw it for 551 yards. And then offensively, we would conceal the deal in the last drive to go get the win in front of a live national audience. So that's something to remember. But it's a new staff. Coach Jones does a nice job, and I'm sure they'll be ready to play.
And as I mentioned, the Panthers actually have won 4 of their last 5 games, and the only loss in that stretch was a defeat at nationally ranked Louisiana. And Georgia State had a lead up until the final few minutes of that contest. 3 of those 4 wins have come on the road. They won at Texas State, Louisiana Monroe, and as I mentioned, Coastal Carolina. The Panthers are now tied for first in the Sun Belt East with Coastal and Appalachian State. So the conference championship is still in the running for the Panthers. Here is Elliott on the importance of this Arkansas State contest.
I don't believe in the sales job. I don't believe in it in recruiting. I don't believe in it selling to our team. We've got an opportunity to finish up very strongly. This is an opportunity for us to become bowl eligible, to have a chance for postseason play, to get another conference win. And I have no idea what might occur here in the next couple of weeks. We've got a lot at stake. I think we can finish if we go and finish it the right way. And I don't want to look past Arkansas State, but in our next 2 contests, I think it'll be the best conference what is the win-loss record we've ever had. So there's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake, and they understand. I told them point blank. I said, this team will come in here ready to play. And I reminded them about last year's game and what we have to do to prepare and go out and play. We've been pretty decent keeping our head down and moving forward the last couple of weeks, and we've got to continue to do it this week. We're playing at home. That's going to be a little bit different, like coming back to home after 3 weeks being on the road. So hopefully we're going to have a nice crowd here, and we're going to be ready to play Arkansas State.
Yeah, and the Panthers' big part of the offense has been the rushing attack. They rank 17th in the nation in rushing, averaging more than 215 yards on yards per contest on the ground. Running backs Jamias Williams and Tucker Gregg, as well as Darren Granger, the quarterback, have been a big part of that. Arkansas State does come into this contest with the conference's worst defense, giving up 529 yards per contest. They're last in rushing defense, giving up more than 263 yards a game, and points per game, giving up more than 41 points per contest. Here is Coach Elliott on the team's offensive approach against the Wolves.
There is, but I mean, it's what we do. I mean, so we go into every week trying to find the way to best attack in running the football, and we do it passing as well. But we don't really pay a whole lot of attention to the stats and all that stuff. And that's a good thing, because you don't go change your game plan because their secondary is poor or something like that. You've got to do what you do well and continuously do that. I mean, you can't have the flavor of the week. Oh, we're going to be a throwing team this week and all that. If you do things consistently well, then you need to keep doing them. And right now we're doing that. And just so happens our throw game came along last week. So, if you keep it balanced, I think we're going to be okay.
Now, on the flip side, Arkansas State does lead the conference in passing yards, averaging more than 320 yards per game in the air. Lane Hatcher, the starting quarterback, has been a big part of that. I asked Coach Elliott about defending Arkansas State and that passing attack.
Well, they throw the football 70% of the time, and they're going to throw it around the yard. So that's a challenge in itself. We have got to generate great pass rush, and we've got to get some pressure on him. But he was the same guy he was a year ago, and he's coming in here, and I'm sure he remembers throwing all them yards last year. So, that's it. We've got to keep that pass game in check, and they're going to sprinkle in the run effectively, but we understand offensively for them it's 70% throw, and that's what they're going to try to do.
And a big part of that defending the pass is going to be the pass rush. As Coach Elliott mentioned, they throw about 70% of the time, which means there are going to be ample opportunities for the pass rushers to get to Hatcher, the quarterback. Here is Elliott on the Panthers pass rush.
A little bit, but there's one thing about passing teams. When they do it really well, they know where they're going and what they have to do. So sometimes that blitzing right there can catch you a little bit off guard because they're so quick in decision making. When you have a smart quarterback like that, and he's been in a system where that's what they do, and they know where the protection slid to, they know where the front's coming from, and they can deliver the football. Sometimes that can put you in a bad situation. During the course of the week, we're going to get a better idea about the opportunity to put some pressure on him, or do we need to sit back a little bit? But that'll all be kind of figured out here in the next day or so.
Yeah, if you look at the series, Arkansas State does hold the lifetime series lead over the Panthers 6-1, and the series began in 2013. Last season was one of the highest scoring games in Sun Belt history, with the Red Wolves emerging with a 59-52 victory. The teams combined for nearly 1,200 yards of total offense. Tucker Gregg had 146 rushing yards, and Sam Pickney had 6 catches for 126 yards and 3 touchdowns. Speaking of Pickney, him and Cornelius Mccoy have been struggling to get on the field consistently for the Panthers. Coming into the season, probably the 2 top receivers on the Panthers roster. But we've seen them in the lineup more consistently, including that Coastal Carolina game. Here's Coach Elliott on having wide receivers Cornelius Mccoy and Sam Pickney getting back into the lineup consistently.
How good was it to get Cornelius Mccoy back? I know he was on for probably 20, 25 snaps, I guess, on Saturday, but still working his way back, obviously.
Yeah, it's great. Salmon's had battled that hamstring injury just like McCoy has the last few weeks. To see them finally get back on the field, I don't even know if they've been on the field together. And it's been a while. It's been a while. And those are two very, very good receivers for us. He brings a great energy every single day, and to have him back on the field was fantastic. I love seeing him because I just think the energy is there. And some of these guys can run out there and I call it pseudo hype. They want to yell and scream. They really don't want to be there, man. When he's out there, he's ready to go. He's ready to play. That's what I love about him.
Yeah, so very important to have those weapons. The rushing attack has been strong for the Panthers, but having McCoy and Pickney on the outside is a big part of the offense. And speaking of the offense, a little bit of defense as well. A big part of the team's improved play over the past few weeks has been sophomore linebacker Jamil Muhommad. He came into Georgia State as a quarterback, but after a few practices, he converted to the linebacker position a few years ago. The converted quarterback had a crucial sack and forced fumble in the Coastal Carolina win. Able to actually catch up with him earlier this week before this Arkansas State contest. Topics included that crucial sack and forced fumble in the victory, the defense creating more turnovers. Once again, initially entering Georgia State as a quarterback, transitioning to a linebacker, and the team's preparations for the Arkansas State contest on November 20th. Here is Jamil Muhammad from one of our latest editions of Fighting Peaches. All right, good day, everybody. This is Emar Self-Tooth, the Sports Inquirer, and we're happy to be joined for another edition of Fighting Peaches, this time with Georgia State football player Jamil Muhammad. Jamil, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How about yourself?
Doing well, thank you. Big win coming off of that Coastal Carolina victory. Let's start with there. First win over a ranked opponent, team that came in with a lot of attention. You're able to go on the road and get the victory. What was that like for you and the team to get that victory and keep yourself in a conference championship contention?
It was really a blessing, and I think it was awesome to see me and my teammates just gel as one. And we've been talking about it all year, just complimenting each other, offense, complimenting defense, special teams, complimenting both. So I think it was just all around great effort from the coaching all the way down to the players. So it was awesome to just see us come out with a W and just see people, thrive in spots. That's been getting better and better every year. All year.
Sure, Jamil. You had the defensive play of the day. The team was leading by one late in the fourth quarter. You're able to get a sack on Bryce Carpenter, Coastal's quarterback, forced a fumble, recovered by your teammate. Take me back to that play. Was there a pre-snap read that you saw that you can get off, attack the quarterback and get the sack? And what was that like for you having that big play?
Like I said, from the past question, it was just a blessing. I've been working very hard each and every day after practice. I watched a lot of film, so it was kind of just the gut feeling, intuition of me feeling like it was a big down. And if I recall, it was 3rd and 13, so they had really no choice but to pass it. They're on our side of the field, so I really just went for it, and I just used my instincts, and I just knew it was a time to make a play, and I knew I had to be the one.
Yeah, and we've spoken with Coach Elliott in the past, during the start of the season, about the team not creating turnovers, not taking advantage of those opportunities. But in this run that you've had, I think 4 of your last 5 victories, you've had at least a turnover in each of those victories. What's changed on the defensive end to get the turnovers and create those opportunities?
I feel like in the past we were, too concerned about getting the turnover instead of just taking one play at a time. And I feel like, we have some of the best playmakers in the country. So I feel like here lately we've just been focusing on one play at a time and just, helping each other, communicating. Everything else is falling in line.
Yeah, and what about you personally? Some may not be aware, but you came in recruited as a quarterback into the program, but now you transitioned to a linebacker and had success there. What led to that transition, and what's that been like for you as far as your playing time in your career?
Right. So what led to it, I would just say, I guess it was just the opportunity that my coaches felt was there for me. And me and my parents, we sat down and talked about it. We've seen that things weren't going as we would have liked it to on the offensive side of the ball. So, I think it was just something that God put in place for me, and I just took it and ran with it. And how I handled it, I mean, I just, at first I was in a slump, I guess you could say, but it just took time and prayer and work. And I'm the type, I can adapt to anything. So that's all it took is a little bit of, adapting, and I'm fine now.
Did you ever play the defensive position with any part of the field on defense before coming to Georgia State? Or did you at least have some familiarity with hitting
Um,
somebody in that way?
the last time I, was able to just hit somebody on defense was probably when I was maybe 7. But I've always had the instincts to play either side. And I was being recruited for it out of high school, but I was so gung ho on a quarterback.
So did you play a little bit of defense in high school that people had some tape on you that, or did people see even at high school level that you'd have potential on the defensive end?
Yeah, well, they seen potential. The coaches, came at me and they felt as if I would be a potent force for their defense. But as far as getting any high school reps, no, sir, I didn't.
Okay. What's it been like defensively? Do you like it now? Are you adjusted to it? Or is it still a little bit different being on that side of the ball for you?
No, I've actually adapted to it pretty well. I like I said, I work very, very hard. So when it comes to game time, it's starting to feel a little bit more natural than at first. And I'm really starting to have fun with it. I have a lot of great teammates that I can easily adapt to on the field. They help me, they communicate with me, and we just meet each other halfway. So it's not as hard as people may think.
Yeah, does it help also having an offensive mind as far as reading the offense, as far as from a defensive perspective, or kind of knowing tendencies and patterns of situational? Do you have that? Is that advantage for you? Just knowing how offensive think because you were a quarterback?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I feel like sometimes it may look as if I'm cheating the play, but it's just me knowing what's coming. And sometimes it has put me out of position, but most of the times, it puts me in position to make the play. And now it's just up to me to make the plays, and that's what I've been doing here lately, is starting to make the plays necessary to help my team succeed. So.
Yeah, and how's it feel? The team is at a very unique place right now. Yes, I said you're still in contention for the Eastern Division title. That could lead to some bigger things for you. How's the team handling that as you get ready for Arkansas State this Saturday?
Like you said, we're getting ready for Arkansas State. All those other things. Obviously, all we can do is handle and focus on what we can focus on. And today we practice, and tomorrow we'll focus on Wednesday practice, and then the day after that, then we'll focus on Ark State. So, as far as the conference championship contention, that's it's in our hands. But however, it's we need a little bit of help along the way. So, like I said, we're just going to continue to focus on what we can focus on, and that's our attitude, our energy, and our effort every single day of practice.
Yeah, and then lastly, Arkansas State itself. You face some teams that like to run the ball a lot. Army, Appalachian State, complete opposite Arkansas State. I think they throw the ball up to 70 times percentage wise in their offense. How's that adjustment been for you as far as preparing for a team that is going to throw the ball a lot from your linebacker spot?
Well, me being an outside linebacker, I feel like I love the adjustment, definitely from last week, because they have a higher chance of passing, like you said. So that means I get to go eat a little bit more on the tackles instead of having to be concerned too much about the run game. So I feel like it's going to be another fun weekend, and I can't wait to go out and get the W with my team.
Yeah, and we thank Jamil for joining us and opening up about his time at Georgia State and preparing for Arkansas State. That concludes this edition of the Technical State of Georgia Athletics. As always, to follow everything that we do, go to the mothership, thesportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under the Sports Inquirer. And finally, subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.